Hi, Tulsi. How are you?
I'm good. It's great to see you.
Good to see you. First of all, how's everything in Hawaii? We prayed for you and everybody in Hawaii.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thankfully, the tsunami passed without any real damage. I was talking to my folks and friends and family there late last night here on the East Coast and just trying to help make sure everyone was prepared for the worst, which is what you have to do. It looked like it was going to be quite potentially very damaging. They were looking at 1 to 3 meter waves, essentially like 10-foot waves.
Horrible.
That, you know, in any respect is kind of it's a tough day in the ocean, but for a tsunami that would have been disastrous. And so again, thankfully everyone is safe and minimal effect.
So let's go into what has been released and what is still yet to come. You know, as I look at the stuff that has, you know, in the declassified documents of Russiagate, it confirms what many of us have already known. Are you surprised at anything at the media not reporting any of this? I mean, we've known a lot of this, but now the media is absolutely silent on it. And people seem to be deleting posts and no longer commenting online. What's happening?
Yes, I am not surprised that the mainstream media is refusing to cover this. And if they do mention it, their approach is to try to diminish the effect and the impact of the revelations, the historic revelations that were found in the documents that we declassified and released, or to try to bring voice to detractors and critics who also just say, oh, well, this is bizarre or this is crazy. But when you actually look at the coverage and you look at some of the comments and the quotes that the mainstream media may be choosing to publish or highlight, they're not actually getting after the very specific pieces of evidence that were released that quote people like John Brennan, who was the CIA director, and James Clapper, who was Obama's director of national intelligence. They are not giving voice to the intelligence professionals who, in these reports that we released, were protesting against the very malicious actions that people like Brennan and Clapper were taking at President Obama's direction to create this intelligence assessment that was filled with falsehoods. They're not giving voice to these intelligence professionals because they recognize that it would push forward a very inconvenient truth for the mainstream media because it exposes their complicity in pushing this lie and this hoax from not only day one, but throughout President Trump's entire first administration.
And all of these people are still, I mean, Brennan, Clapper, they have been the source on so many things, and they're in with the media. And I wonder if this is just part of more of the same, that they're asking them, is there anything to this? And they say, no, there's not. In fact, it's a whatever. And then I also wonder, how many people are you surrounded by that are still part of that old system?
It's a good question. As we're finding these documents, going through them, declassifying and releasing them, we are learning more about who is actually directly involved and implicated in this. We're learning more about who may have been in the room and who was loudly protesting against it, recognizing how wrong it was. We have whistleblowers coming forward with their own documentation of their protests and their unwillingness to go along with this. So yes, there are people who are still working within the intelligence community who had a hand in this. As we are identifying them, it will give us the opportunity to make sure that they and others like them who, again, are so willing to weaponize intelligence to subvert the will of the American people can no longer work in the intelligence community.
So Devin Nunes, Kash Patel, all these guys were in the last time Trump was in. This was produced in the last administration. Why didn't this come out then?
You know, it's a good question, and it's an obvious one. I can't speak for those who were there at that time, but I've asked some of these same questions, and they were facing, I can't speak for all of them, but for Devin, for example, and for Kash, they were up against the deep state in many cases who refused to release these documents. If you remember, Mike Pompeo was President Trump's, I think he was his first CIA director, followed by Gina Haspel. I was told Gina Haspel refused to release these documents. So again, the more that we find in the documentation as whistleblowers come forward, I think the story will continue to be told about what actually happened and why it is that here we are in 2025. And again, this won't surprise many people who've been following this story very closely for years. But the fact that we have documented evidence and proof is the thing that matters, both to shine a light on the truth, that this wasn't something that was in someone's imagination or concocted, but I think even most importantly, that can drive towards accountability.
So Fox News had an exclusive that said Kash Patel found thousands of sensitive documents related to the origins of the Trump-Russia probe buried in multiple burn bags in secret rooms inside the Bureau. What's a burn bag?
A burn bag is something that you'll find in many offices throughout the intelligence community, throughout these different workspaces in national security. Basically, if I have a document that's highly classified, I read it, I review it, I'm done with it. My copy can then go in the burn bag to make sure that it's not doesn't end up in the wrong hands, that there's not an unauthorized disclosure of classified information. It's a very different story, however, if you use a burn bag to try to get rid of evidence of which maybe there is only one copy of, and then hide it in a secret room in the FBI. That is a tactic, obviously, that has been used by those deep staters, these bad actors within the intelligence community to try to get rid of evidence. Another tactic that's often used is over-classifying information. This is what happened with the Steele dossier. This was already widely publicized as a discredited document. But what John Brennan did and James Clapper did as the CIA director and the Obama's director of national intelligence, they didn't want anybody to know that they used the Steele dossier as a source for this intelligence assessment that was filled with falsehoods they published in January of 2017, as well as other really, really shoddy intelligence sources that would not be acceptable to be used on any topic because they were not deemed credible. They wanted to hide all of this from members of Congress, perhaps, who were reading this, and the American people, and President Trump, then President-elect Trump at that time. And so they over-classified it in a way that there were less than 10 people who could access it. Jeez. And then they locked up the only hard copy documents. This document did not exist on digits. The document that actually exposed, this was the document that we released. Right. They locked that document up and the 5 copies that existed in a safe. And the first time it had been seen, certainly in public, but even by many within the government, was when we released it about a week ago.
Sunday, John Radcliffe said that there's more declassification of intelligence coming out that shows how deep this went. He said it's stunning. Any idea on the timeline of that?
It's going through the declassification process right now. I expect it to be released very soon. I think the document will speak for itself. And once again, it will, I think, confirm what a lot of people have already known to be true, but it'll connect a lot of the dots that have not been revealed in public before.
Are you sensing let's see, Mark Elias stopped posting on X. Brennan has lawyered up. John Kerry has made his account private. Peter Strzok deleted his entire X history. Are you sensing they feel the walls are closing in?
In my view, that's the only way that I can read this situation. Those who are truly innocent would not be taking those kinds of actions. And once again, this is why it's so important to declassify this information, to get the truth out, because it's something that for anyone who is mildly objective is irrefutable and undeniable, and can be used and is currently being reviewed by the Department of Justice to bring about accountability for those involved.
We were talking before we went on the air, and I said, I'm struggling with my job right now because I don't, it at times doesn't seem like it's worth it. It makes any difference at all because I don't know what I believe in. I don't know what's true anymore, Tulsi. I don't know. I can't sit here and on the air and talk about problems if there's not a solution. It feels insane. It feels insane. I keep doing the same thing over and over again, beating the head against the wall and saying, look here's proof, here's proof, here's proof, and nothing happens. Do you sense that? Do you think the people around you understand what danger the country is in right now because they just don't believe there's justice on any front?
Well, first, Glenn, let me just tell you how important your voice is. I think I'm serious. I'm not just patronizing you. It is your voice and voices like yours where you have the ability to reach and impact people from all political stripes, different backgrounds, different walks of life across the country who are not paying as close attention. I'm just going to keep talking here. We're not paying as close attention. We're not paying as close attention to these things in the way that you and your team are, and your ability to communicate. The first challenge and opportunity is to be able to communicate to the American people why they should care about this at all.
Right.
What the implications of what we have released and exposed truly are. Not just for President Trump, not just for Republicans or for Democrats, but for the integrity of our democratic republic and the tactics that are being used by the deep state and have been used in order to, in this case, essentially subvert the will of the American people because, President Obama and his cohort were not happy that President Trump got elected. So the first thing is being able to really communicate clearly the implications of this on our republic. The second piece of this, yes, it is the accountability piece. And I understand the frustration. But our system is set up in the way that it is by our visionary founding fathers. What we have to do is fulfill our duty, focused on the Constitution, and providing this mechanism for accountability to take place, and doing what the American people really have done best since the founding of our country, which is recognizing the power in each of our voices to make sure that we are calling for that necessary action to begin to restore that trust.
But I'm sure you can relate. I mean, Dan Bongino posted a cryptic message on X the other day.
I read it.
Yeah, he said, it shocked me. What I found out at my time at the FBI has shocked me down to the core. We cannot run a republic like this, and I'll never be the same after learning what I've learned. I'm not expecting you to answer for him, but have you felt that way when you've being there?
I have seen up close and personal the tactics that are used by those who care more for themselves, their ambition, their job, their influence, their political interests, their selfish, self-serving interests than they care about the Constitution. That every single one of these law enforcement and intelligence community professionals swear an oath, just like I have, both in uniform in the military and as a member of Congress and as Director of National Intelligence, to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. This is why what we are doing matters so much. So yes, I have my own frustrations, trust me, but my resolve is focused and is rooted in my love for our country and my belief in the values and principles that our country was founded upon, and therefore the responsibility that I carry to do something about that which we are revealing, that which I am seeing and experiencing firsthand. It is a heavy responsibility, but it's also an awesome one, and I spend every day doing my best to fulfill it.
We've talked before, and I've said to you, you are in the second most dangerous job, I think, in the nation. President Trump is in the most dangerous job in the nation, and I think, you're working around some, people that do this kind of stuff for a living, and we pray for your safety every night.
You.
I'm going to continue the conversation with Tulsi Gabbard in a minute. And I'm going to switch. Last night I did a TV show that is on fire right now, and it basically is showing you the connections to the radicals that are on the street. And in the show, I said, why hasn't Antifa been deemed a terrorist organization yet? I mean, how are these guys not arrested? How are we not investigating them for terror? Because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to change political leanings, change the country's policies or change politics here through fear and intimidation and violence. That's the definition of terror. We're going to pick it up with Tulsi on that here in just a second. Let me say hello to Stu. Hi, Stu.
Glenn, how are you?
Very good. Very good.
Good.
Yeah.
Tulsi laying it out for us this morning. Mm-hmm.
Yes, she is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Can't wait to hear more.
What Stu is saying here is he got very little sleep last night, and he really hasn't paid attention to a word that anybody has been saying for probably maybe 2 hours since he's been up.
Yeah. That's I would say that's the best summary of my day so far. Yes,
right. Okay.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's why Tulsi's carrying the show. She's bringing us home.
We certainly don't look to you to carry the show.
No, definitely not. And that's
a
advisable. Again, you're in the Radio Hall of Fame for a reason, making judgments just like that. Congratulations.
All right, back with Tulsi Gabbard on terror and Antifa coming up in just a second. Stand by. That was your insight. That's your insight.
Thought I nailed that.
Not really.
This is Glenn Beck.
All right. You're halfway through your coffee when you hear it. That strange noise outside again. Third time this week. You don't want to overreact. You also don't want to wish later that you had acted. You slide the door lock into place just in case. Head to the bedroom where your Byrna compact launcher is waiting. Sits on the nightstand in a small lockbox. Legal to own, legal to carry, no permit required, loaded with non-lethal pepper projectiles or tear gas. It'll stop the attacker right in their tracks. We always hope that we don't need to defend ourselves, but if that moment does come, when fight or flight isn't a choice, you'll want something that's lightweight, fast, effective, and safe to store around kids. The compact launcher from Byrna is small enough to tuck into a drawer, stash into your glove box, or clip on your belt. It is roughly the size of a smartphone. It's built to deliver a message to anybody who thinks you're an easy target. Not today. Not today. Byrna, BYRNA.com. Learn more or try before you buy at a Sportsman's Warehouse location near you. I got to tell you, they've moved every bit of their operations that they can move here to the United States. Following Trump's directive, really patriotic group of people. Byrna, BYRNA.com.
We have more with the wonderful Tulsi Gabbard coming up right here on the Glenn Beck program.
Back to our Tulsi Gabbard interview. Let me switch subjects here for just a second. Last night I did a show on the coming insurrection, the cabal of socialists and Islamists and anarchists that are looking to destabilize and overthrow the Western world. And it's clear that's what's happening right now. And in the middle of the show, I wondered, why hasn't Antifa been labeled a terror organization yet? Why aren't we going after people for terror? Is this not terror, what they're trying to do?
Yeah, it's funny you should mention that, because I released several documents back in May that really laid out the foundational documents and strategy that the Biden administration used in labeling groups and individuals as domestic violent extremists. You remember this.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And, it was like, hey, if parents are angry that or worried that their kids may get the COVID vaccine at school without their approval, they may be a potential domestic violent extremist. We had the radical traditionalist Catholics, the then FBI under Obama. I mean, these are examples of what they did. But what was also interesting was how they diminished Antifa under the Biden administration, downplaying the threat that they posed, again, to the safety and security of our communities. The thing that really you really touched on and pointed to that doesn't get focused on often enough is the ideology that's driving these groups who do pose a direct threat to the fabric of our country and to the safety and security of the American people.
I mean, they don't seem to be afraid of anything. They've never really paid a price. Nobody even names them and really says what they are and what they're doing. I talked to a guy who used to be in kind of the world you live in now. And I said, can we even win this fight without naming it? And he said, we can, but not the way we're fighting. He said, they fight day and night. We fight sometimes during the day. We have to be nighttime fighters as well. I didn't want to ask him exactly what he meant by that. But would you agree with that?
I do. I think being very vigilant and being very clear-eyed about, again, the ideology that's driving a lot of these people who are here within our country, who are directly working against, again, the Constitution, the founding principles of our country, and really the American way of life. There has to be more of a focus, for example, on those who run around the streets chanting pro-Hamas mantras and calls for intifada and action. There's those who are disturbing the peace. Okay, sure. But again, it's the ideology that's driving these individuals that is quite dangerous.
One last question, kind of going back to what we were talking about. As we're talking about these extremists, I see people, the CEO of United Healthcare was shot. Everybody, 40% of youth think that was great. If Pam Bondi actually goes and charges these people, that the press is going to say, see, this is the weaponization of government, and they're going to flip the script entirely. And a lot of people will believe that because the media will carry all of that water. How concerned are we about the reaction of the left on the streets with every move that Donald Trump makes, every move like this? Does that play a role? Should it play a role in how we proceed?
We have to stand strong for the truth. We have to stand strong for justice and the Constitution and for freedom. These are things that many of these bad actors here, frankly, don't believe in. The mainstream media will do what they do. I think there is a positive here in that fewer and fewer people actually read the mainstream media. Fewer people actually believe in them. I just saw CNN and MSNBC's viewership numbers from the last week. Absolutely abysmal. There is a rise of viewers and listeners who are tuning into shows like yours and to different podcasts and the new media that really represents more, not just people with one view, but really represents real, authentic dialogue and conversation versus the filtered, agenda-filled narrative that the mainstream media pushes.
Tulsi, I'm glad we're friends. I'm glad I know you. I'm glad I live at a time where someone like you can serve. The fact that you were a Democrat, that you switched when you did, and that you have always approached everything that I've ever seen you in with the same attitude that you approached your oath for service to the military. And that gives me hope. So thank you for everything you've done.
I appreciate your friendship, Glenn, and we must be filled with hope because God is love, and in God's love is where we find hope. And it's in times like this where we lean on our faith in God's love and in knowing that if we do our best to fulfill His will, then things will work out as He has planned.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Tulsi. God bless.
Thank you. You too.
Tulsi Gabbard, I really like her.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I don't agree with her on everything, but
no, neither do I. But I like the fact that you don't have to. You know what I mean?
Your comment there at the end, I think, was how I would describe it too. Is like she just seems to take this seriously, care about the country rather than herself, and that even when
takes her oath seriously.
Yeah.
She's willing. I mean, she could have gotten out of her service, easily. And done other things, and she continues to serve, and she serves honorably, and she is a fighter, but doesn't believe in war except when it's absolutely necessary. I mean, I really respect her. Really respect her. There's not a lot of politicians like her. I wouldn't even put her in would you put her in the category of I mean, she is
a congresswoman, right?
I know, but she just doesn't seem like it, She is as far away from a Nancy Pelosi kind of politician as you can get.
Yeah. Who would you take more seriously? Would it be like her or Eric Swalwell? If you had to come down to one, it's a tough one.
It's a tough one. It is a tough one. By the way, Trump was talking about Nancy Pelosi and insider trading yesterday. Can you play cut 19, please? Here's Trump on Nancy Pelosi.
Senator Hawley introduced legislation that would ban members of Congress from owning or trading individual stocks. It extends to the president and vice president. Are you in favor of that legislation?
Well, I like it conceptually. I don't know about it, but I like it conceptually. And, Nancy Pelosi became rich by having inside information. She made a fortune with her husband, and I think that's disgraceful. So in that sense, I'd like it, but I'd have to really see I study these things very carefully, and this just happened. So I'll take a look at it. But conceptually, I like it. And what I do think is Nancy Pelosi should be investigated because she has the highest return of anybody practically in the history of Wall Street, save a few. How did that happen? It happened by she knows exactly what's going to happen, what's going to be announced. She buys stock, and then the stock goes up after the announcement's made. And she ought to be investigated.
Now, Jake Tapper was talking to Nancy Pelosi yesterday, and here's what happened.
Having some sort of
investments.
Let me just read what he said. I'm sorry that we had some sort of technical issue. Nancy Pelosi became rich.
Why do you have to read that? We're here to talk about the 60th anniversary of Medicaid. That's what I agreed to come to talk about.
But I wanted
what that means in the election.
I wanted to give you a chance just to respond. He accused you of insider trading. What's your response to that?
That's ridiculous. In fact, I very much support the trading of members of Congress. Not that I think anybody's doing anything wrong. If they are prosecuted and they go to jail. But because of the confidence it instills in the American people, don't worry about this. But I have no concern about the obvious investments that had been made over time. I'm not into it. My husband is, but it isn't anything to do with anything insider. But the president has his own exposure, so he's always projecting. And let's not give him any more time on that, please. We're going forward here, and I'm very proud of my family. And while he might make fun of us, while somebody inspired by him breaks into our home and hits my husband in a deadly fashion, hits my husband over the head, and he thinks that's a riot, I'd rather not go into some of my other complaints about him right now. Rather to talk about the 60th anniversary of Medicaid.
I mean, this is amazing, just as amazing. And Nancy, you should not use the word riot in any way. You should not use the word riot. Like her husband is the greatest trader in the history of Wall Street.
Seriously impressive. I mean, just an amazing investor. It seems almost clairvoyant. In a way.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of accounts that follow her trades. There's one, I can't remember who it is, but they do an actual index. They'll tell you who the trade you can go and buy and replicate her trades, and you're way, way, way ahead of the S&P 500 if you're doing that. There's this one example, though, that from a few months ago, she bought some options on one AI company and was up 330% in a month.
Wow.
Now, that's impressive. It's impressive. Mm-hmm. But over and over again, she continues to just call these things, man. She is just...
No, her husband does. She's
not even into it?
She's not even into it.
She's not even into it.
She's not even into it. She doesn't talk about it. She doesn't even know about it. She doesn't share anything with her husband. He's a miracle. He's a miracle investor. So, you got that going for you.
It is ridiculous. And it's been basically legal for these people to do this.
I don't know why she's denying anything. There's nothing illegal about it. That's the whole point of the bill, to make it illegal.
Right.
To make it illegal. And to say, he projects, oh my gosh, I can't even take it. Really? The Republicans project what they're doing. That's
in a way, that's her projecting. Her accusing the other side of projecting is her projecting.
Kind of. Mm-hmm. Okay, back in just a minute with more. Let me tell you about American Financing. Ever noticed how nobody brags about their mortgage? Biggest financial decision people ever make, and yet it's treated like an afterthought. Why? Well, because most mortgages aren't worth bragging about. But what if your mortgage was a flex? What if you could say, I locked in a lower rate, I paid off my high-interest debt, and I saved hundreds of bucks a month, all thanks to a simple call? That would be pretty good. That's what American Financing does. They're independent, not tied to a single bank, which means they work for you. Right now, when everything is expensive, groceries, gas, insurance, you name it, saving anything every month can be a game changer. And imagine if we had a non-corrupt Federal Reserve. What those rates might be like. Anyway, American Financing can help you get a custom loan, a cash-out refi, even a debt consolidation mortgage, and you can close in as little as 10 days. So maybe it's time to make your mortgage worth bragging about. The smart move is to find what's possible. You do have options. You just need the right team to show them to you, and that team is American Financing. Call American Financing now at 800-906-2440. AmericanFinancing.net, 800-906-2440. AmericanFinancing.net.
NMLS 182334. NMLSConsumerAccess.org. APR for rates in the 5 starts at 6.799% for well-qualified borrowers. Call 800-906-2440 for details about credit costs and terms.
History's got a warning label, and if we don't read it, we'll live it. Stay sharp, friends. Glenn Beck returns in a jiff.
Sure, you might live in an area where the temperatures are 118 degrees right now, like it is here in Texas, but it's actually getting a whole lot cooler because, well, we already have the Chefman Pebble Ice Maker, which is awesome. It's a countertop machine, delivers soft, chewable, that perfect pebble ice without hogging space in your kitchen. And by the way, that one's still available at flash sale pricing. You don't have that yet. But Chefman is turning up the chill even more with the brand new Slush Ease Slushy machine. Oh, yeah. Pure joy in appliance form. This gives you the same pro-style features you'd find in a commercial slushy machine, but it is made to sit on your countertop, and it actually look good doing it. They look great. If you have kids, they're going to love the slushies made with juice or soda or pretty much any drink that you pour in. Grown-ups, you're going to love it too. It makes great frozen coffee drinks. You've got after make anything alcoholic. It does make alcoholic drinks. Yes, Mr. Alcoholic. It's delicious margaritas, mojitos, frosé. Yes, you can even do that. Delivers in minutes just with a press of a button. And during the flash sale, you're going to save a boatload on your Slush Ease slushy machine. Visit chefman.com/blaze. Chefman.com/blaze. Use the promo code Blaze for this flash sale. Again, it is Chefman. Thank you. Frosé, yes. Chefman.com/blaze. Promo code is Blaze.
So Sydney Sweeney, American Eagle, made an ad, got a lot of attention. I guess now Dunkin' Donuts is now into the genetics line in their new ad as well. Here's Dunkin' Donuts.
Look, I didn't ask to be the king of summer. It just kind of happened. This tan? Genetics. I just got my color analysis back. Guess what? Golden summer. Literally. I can't help it. Every time I drink a Dunkin' Golden Hour Refresher, it's like the sun just finds me. So if sipping these refreshers makes me the king of summer, guilty as charged.
I'm not interested. Where's this Sydney Sweeney? That was a much better ad.
In theory, it's almost the exact same ad, except just a dude.
No, it's really not.
No,
it's really not.
I just have weird. What is a weird ad? I don't know. What are we supposed to take?
Is
from
that supposed to be? I mean, I guess it's just a rip off of her trying to.
Oh, is it like a parody type of thing, or is it just they just have?
If not, it's just a really. I mean, is it a coincidence that they both are exactly this? I mean, almost exactly the same, and they talk about jeans.
I don't know. That's a good question. Why would they? You'd think that they would. I mean, it's not an obvious parody, so it would be an odd choice to just like to make.
Well, maybe it's Dunkin' Donuts, so Dunkin' Donuts couldn't afford a really big idea ad man. Their ad man's like, I don't know. Here's an idea. We talk about jeans.
I mean, their ad campaign for about 20 years was a guy saying, time to make the donuts.
It's probably that guy coming up with the ad.
There's like, hey, what if we do an ad campaign where we show our employees are miserable? What about that? What if we show our employees are abused and they don't get any sleep, and we force them in at all hours to make donuts for people who show up?
See, that's weird. You saw that as an employee. I always saw that as the owner of Dunkin' Donuts. And maybe it's because I grew up in a bakery, because that was my dad. Right. Every day he'd be like, I got to go make donuts. They never sleep.
No.
Yeah.
But, that's the right thing. When it comes to capitalism.
And donuts.
Thank God. You can just serve us donuts. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, I don't care if you sleep or not.
Individuals'
Where
feelings,
are the
whatever.
damn donuts?
Yeah, exactly.
Are they fresh and hot now? As Sydney Sweeney is. What is that? I don't even understand that.
And so is that gentleman with the golden hour refresher.
Whatever he is. Mm-hmm. All right. Back with a real hour of information and stuff you can use next.
This is Glenn Beck.